Picture a vast, wind-swept steppe where nomadic warriors, bound by loyalty and unmatched skill, forge an empire that stretches from the Pacific to the Caspian Sea. In the early 13th century, the Mongols, led by the enigmatic Genghis Khan, unleashed a storm that reshaped the medieval world. Their conquests toppled kingdoms, rewrote trade routes, and left a legacy of awe and fear, driven by ambition, strategy, and a relentless drive. The Mongols built the largest contiguous empire in history. In this video, we explore the origins of their rise and the forces that propelled their unstoppable march. Welcome to the War Vault. The Mongol Empire's meteoric rise in the 13th century was one of history's most transformative events. Uniting vast swathes of Eurasia under a single banner. Emerging from the harsh steppes of Central Asia, the Mongols, under Temujin, later Genghis Khan, forged an empire that spanned from Korea to Eastern Europe. Their success stemmed from a blend of military innovation, strategic brilliance, and a nomadic culture that prized mobility and resilience. The Mongols' ascent reshaped global trade, politics, and cultural exchange, leaving a legacy that endured long after their empire fragmented. The Mongols were nomadic herders, living in felt tents and moving with their herds across the Mongolian plateau. Their society was tribal, organized into clans bound by kinship and loyalty. Life on the steppes was unforgiving, with extreme climates and constant threats from rival tribes, fostering a culture of toughness and adaptability. Skilled horsemen and archers, Mongol warriors trained from childhood, mastering the composite bow, a weapon capable of deadly accuracy from horseback. This martial prowess, combined with a deep knowledge of the terrain, made them formidable. In the late 12th century, the steppes were a cauldron of feuding tribes with no unified power. Temujin, born around 1162, emerged from this chaos. His early life was marked by hardship. Orphan young, he endured slavery and betrayal. Yet Temujin's charisma, cunning, and vision set him apart. Through alliances, marriages, and ruthless campaigns, he united the Mongol tribes by 1206, earning the title Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This unification was a pivotal moment, transforming a fragmented people into a disciplined force. Genghis Khan's leadership was revolutionary. He broke traditional tribal hierarchies, creating a meritocratic system where loyalty and skill trumped birth. His army, organized into units of 10, Arban, 100, Zun, and 1,000, Ming, was highly disciplined, with commanders chosen for ability. Genghis standardized tactics, emphasizing speed, deception, and coordination. The Mongols' mobility, capable of covering 100 miles a day, allowed them to outmaneuver enemies. Their psychological warfare, spreading terror through massacres and propaganda, often prompted surrenders without a fight. The Mongols' first major conquest targeted the Jin dynasty in northern China. In 1211, Genghis launched a campaign against the Jin, a sophisticated state with fortified cities and a large army. The Mongols, initially outnumbered, used feigned retreats and sieges to devastating effect. By 1215, they captured Zhongdu, modern Beijing, plundering its wealth and gaining expertise in siege warfare from captured Chinese engineers. This victory showcased the Mongols' ability to adapt, incorporating gunpowder and catapults into their arsenal. Next, Genghis turned west to the Khwarezmian Empire, a Muslim power spanning Central Asia and Persia. A diplomatic insult, Khwarezmian execution of Mongol envoys, sparked a brutal campaign in 1219. The Mongols swept through cities like Bukhara and Samarkand, using terror tactics to subdue resistance. Entire populations were massacred or enslaved, and the empire's infrastructure was devastated. By 1223, the Khwarezmians were crushed, and Mongol dominion extended to the Caspian Sea, demonstrating their capacity to conquer diverse terrains and cultures. The Mongols' military success rested on more than brutality. Their communication system, the Yam, used relay stations to transmit messages across thousands of miles, ensuring rapid coordination. Scouts gathered intelligence, enabling precise strikes. Genghis's tolerance of local religions and customs, provided subjects submitted, encouraged stability, contrasting with the religious zeal of contemporary crusades. This pragmatism allowed the Mongols to govern vast, diverse populations without imposing a single culture. The Mongol conquests reshaped global trade. By securing the Silk Road, they created a safe corridor for merchants connecting China to Europe. Cities like Karakoram and Samarkand flourished as trade hubs, exchanging goods, silk, spices, and furs, and ideas from Chinese printing to Persian astronomy. This Pax Mongolica facilitated cultural exchange, with technologies like papermaking spreading west. The Mongols' postal system and standardized weights enhanced commerce, laying early foundations for global trade networks. Genghis Khan's death in 1227 did not halt the empire's expansion. His successors, notably Ogadai and Kublai Khan, continued his vision. Ogadai's campaign subdued the Song dynasty in southern China, while invasions reached Eastern Europe, defeating Hungarian and Polish armies at Legnica and Mohi in 1241. The empire's vastness, however, strained its unity. By the late 13th century, it fragmented into khanates: Golden Horde, Elkhanate, Chagatai, and Yuan dynasty, each ruled by Genghis's descendants, often in rivalry. The Mongol Empire's rise had profound effects. In China, Mongol rule under the Yuan dynasty integrated diverse cultures, fostering artistic and scientific advances. In the Middle East, the destruction of Baghdad in 1258 ended the Abbasid Caliphate, shifting Islamic power to the Mamelukes. In Europe, fear of Mongol invasion spurred military reforms, while trade enriched Italian city-states. The Black Death, spread partly along Mongol trade routes, devastated populations, altering social structures. The Mongols' legacy is dual-edged. Their conquests caused immense destruction, with millions killed and cities razed. Yet, their empire connected East and West, accelerating cultural and technological diffusion. The Mongols' tolerance and administrative innovations influenced later empires, from the Ottomans to the Mughals. Their military tactics, mobility, deception, and psychological warfare remain studied today. The rise of the Mongol Empire was a transformative force, driven by Genghis Khan's vision and the Mongols' adaptability. It reshaped medieval geopolitics, creating a fleeting but impactful era of connectivity. The empire's story is one of ambition, destruction, and exchange, offering lessons on leadership, resilience, and the complexities of cultural interaction. Join the Wall Vault for Part 2, where we'll explore the Mongol Empire's peak, its governance, and the challenges that led to its fragmentation. Follow this saga of conquest and connection as we uncover the next chapter of the Mongol legacy. The 100 Years' War, First re, 3, 7, 1, 4, 5, 3. A prolonged struggle between England and France for control of the French throne is renowned for its iconic battles that redefined medieval warfare. The battles of Crécy, Poitiers, and Agincourt stand as pivotal moments, showcasing the rise of the English longbow, tactical innovation, and exceptional leadership. These clashes not only shaped the war's trajectory, but also transformed military strategies and left enduring legacies in European history. From Edward III's audacity to Henry V's triumph, these battles marked turning points in a century-long saga. The Battle of Crécy, fought on August 26, 1346, was a defining early clash. King Edward III of England, with an army of about 15,000, faced a French force under King Philip VI, estimated at 30,000 to 40,000. The English held a defensive position on a ridge near Crécy and Ponthieu, leveraging the longbow, a 6-foot weapon wielded by skilled archers capable of firing up to 10 arrows per minute with lethal precision. The longbow's range and power outmatched French crossbows, which were slower to reload. As French knights and infantry charged, English archers unleashed volleys, shredding formations and sowing chaos. The battle also saw early use of cannons, a nascent technology signaling warfare's future. The French suffered catastrophic losses, with thousands killed, including nobles, while English casualties were minimal. Crécy's impact was profound. It exposed the vulnerability of traditional knightly charges against disciplined ranged warfare, challenging the dominance of heavily armored cavalry. The victory bolstered English morale and allowed Edward III to besiege Calais, capturing it in 1347 after a year-long siege. Calais became a strategic English foothold, facilitating trade and military operations for over 200 years. Psychologically, Crécy shook French confidence, revealing weaknesses in their feudal military system, reliant on disorganized noble levies. A decade later, the Battle of Poitiers in 1356 further demonstrated English tactical superiority. Edward, the Black Prince, led a smaller force of around 6,000 against a French army of 15,000 under King John II. On September 19, near Poitiers, the English again used terrain to their advantage, positioning archers behind hedges and ditches. The longbowmen decimated French cavalry charges, while English men-at-arms exploited gaps in the enemy lines. The battle's climax saw the capture of King John II and his son Philip, a humiliating blow to France. The capture of a reigning monarch was unprecedented, disrupted French governance and forcing negotiations. The Treaty of Bretigny, 1360, following Poitiers, temporarily halted hostilities, ceding large territories in southwestern France to England. However, the treaty's terms strained French resources, and internal unrest, including the Jacquerie peasant revolt, weakened the kingdom. Poitiers highlighted the longbow's dominance and England's ability to exploit French disorganization, but it also underscored the war's cyclical nature. Neither side could sustain a decisive victory. The war's middle decades saw fluctuating fortunes. France, under Charles IV, regained ground through guerrilla tactics and avoiding pitched battles, reclaiming much of the territory lost at Bretigny. England faced domestic challenges, including the Black Death's devastation and political instability after Edward III's death in 1377. By the early 15th century, France was fractured by civil war between the Burgundian and Armagnac factions, offering England a chance to renew its claims. Enter King Henry V, whose reign reinvigorated English ambitions. A charismatic and disciplined leader, Henry relaunched the war in 1415, aiming to assert his claim to the French throne. His campaign culminated in the Battle of Agincourt on October 25, 1415, a triumph against overwhelming odds. Henry's army, roughly 6,000–9,000, was exhausted and outnumbered by a French force of 12,000, 20,000. Torrential rain turned the battlefield into a muddy quagmire, hampering French mobility. Henry positioned his longbowmen on the flanks, protected by wooden stakes, and provoked a French advance. As French knights struggled through the mud, English archers unleashed devastating volleys, decimating their ranks. The English then closed with swords and axes, slaughtering or capturing thousands, including French nobles like the Duke of Orleans. Agincourt's scale of victory, French losses numbered up to 10,000 while English casualties were in the hundreds, cemented its legend. Immortalized in Shakespeare's Henry V, the battle symbolized English resilience and tactical ingenuity. It also exposed French disunity as rival factions failed to coordinate. The victory led to the Treaty of Troyes, 1420, naming Henry V heir to the French throne, a high-water mark for English ambition. However, Henry's death in 1422 and French resistance prevented consolidation. These battles were more than military triumphs. They reshaped warfare and politics. The longbow's dominance signaled the decline of feudal cavalry, elevating infantry and ranged tactics. Early gunpowder weapons, though limited at Crécy, foreshadowed artillery's rise. Politically, English victories forced France into concessions, but prolonged warfare strained both kingdoms' economies. England's reliance on costly campaigns fueled domestic unrest, while France's feudal system struggled to adapt to centralized warfare. The 100 Years' War also saw cultural shifts. Battles like Agincourt fostered English national identity, with Henry V's leadership becoming a symbol of unity. In France, repeated defeats spurred reforms under Charles VII, centralizing military and physical systems. The war's brutality, including sieges and chevauchés, raiding campaigns, devastated civilian populations, reshaping social dynamics. Despite English successes, France's resilience persisted. The war's later phases saw new leaders and technologies, including gunpowder artillery, which tilted the balance. The battles of Crécy, Poitiers, and Agincourt were turning points, but the war's outcome hinged on broader strategic and political shifts. The 100 Years' War's legendary battles highlight the interplay of innovation, leadership, and endurance. Crécy and Poitiers showcased England's tactical edge, while Agincourt became a cultural touchstone. Yet, France's ability to endure and adapt set the stage for a dramatic reversal, driven by an unlikely hero. Join the War Vault for Part 3, where we'll explore Joan of Arc's transformative role, the French resurgence, and the war's conclusion. Follow this epic saga of rivalry, innovation, and resilience as we uncover the final chapter of the 100 Years' War.